Hey guys, today I have an HE Whirlpool washer, and right now I've got it set to a deep water wash, which is going to use a bit more water than it typically would. Some of the other settings you have on here is the soil level. So what this is here, this is essentially going to be a time designation for how long the machine's going to go through the wash cycle. So this would be like a quick wash, medium, heavy, and then the longest wash period. So by clicking this over here to heavy, you're telling the machine that the clothes are really dirty, so it needs to spend extra time agitating for longer than it typically would because the clothes are more soiled. So it has nothing to do with how much water the machine uses. It's just about agitation time right here. Of course, wash temp, this temperature of your water, you can go totally cold, you can go hot, and you hear it switch over to the hot valve. You can do a little bit of both. You have some different options in there. And then here you have several different options on here. Cold wash, casual, delicate, quick wash, which, I'm not even sure this has much to do with the quick wash at all. Once you set it there, it's pretty much going to run through its own timed quick wash and only hit the wash, rinse, and spin for so long. Soak, clean, rinse and spin, drain and spin. So if you have some items you just need to drain, or if you, for whatever reason, super heavy items, you want to run them again on that spin cycle to cut your drying time down, you have those options here. More rinse options, and then even a pre-soak here that you can switch on and off. So tons of options on this. You can get just about anything you want washed in any fashion that you want. Now I've got a pretty heavy load of towels here, and you've got your bleach cup. And so what I've done, the reason we can open this up and it's not locked is because I just bought an additional locking mechanism. I just bought an extra one. I can stick it right there, so we can have this open and it thinks the lid is closed, so it's going to go ahead and run through the cycle. So right now you can see filling up with water. So it's determined by moving everything around that that's not enough water, so it's going to go ahead and add more water. We'll get to a point of just about full submersion, but how this system actually works, how these HE machine works, you can pause it and just read that if you want, but I'll explain it real fast. So essentially how it works is, this is kind of like how a front load washer works. So if you think about a front load washer, there's no agitator in there, there's no fins or anything. As the machine tumbles the clothes agitate on themselves as they fall on themselves. That's the agitation action in a front load washer. And this is kind of the same thing. What this does is it gives it enough water and soap that the clothes end up being pushed out, and it's called blooming action. And it pushes the clothes out up the center, down along the sides, and they just keep circulating like that as it goes round and round. It has to have enough water to be able to do that, and when it gets there, then that's how it works. It agitates. Now this also has a plus side of having some bends on the bottom plate that do kind of help work and move everything around. But so this is basically a top load style of washer with the same washing function as a front load washer. Basically what I'm trying to say. Hopefully that makes sense. But essentially, as we get enough water here and these start to move and tumble outwards, they agitate on themselves, and that's how your clothes get clean. What people run into is they don't follow the instructions here. They overload them, or they don't use the right type of soap or enough soap. And that's where people run into trouble with their clothes still coming out dirty, that kind of thing. So follow the instructions. Remember what I said about not overloading it. When you're packing this thing, you never want to go more than about 3/4 the way full. It should be about right here. So clothes that pile up out here and you're pushing it all down, never want to do that. That will ensure damage to the machine as far as longevity goes, and that your clothes will not get clean. So a couple little tips there for you. I always try to give a couple little tips out while I'm showing these off, that everything on them works perfect. So I'm going to allow this to fill all the way up, and when it switches over to wash, I'll come back and show you what the water level looks like on the deep water wash. And then I'm also going to show you that the drain works like it's supposed to, and then it has a nice, fast, smooth final spin cycle. All of these things, what you would want to look for is if you were standing here yourself checking it out. That way you know when you get it home and plug it in, you're good to go. So once it's all done, then I'll show you the dryer, because I believe we're going to pair this up with a Kenmore dryer. So we will move along. Okay, it's moved over to the wash cycle. Now it might stop and add more water as it goes along, but here's where we're at. Everything is plenty saturated. Now, I don't use much soap. I actually use about a cap full of bleach, and that's it when I run these test loads. So at home, if you were looking at this with your soap, this would all be pretty soapy, and these clothes would be saturated with soap as well. But as you can see, it's moving these clothes out and back, and as it goes for quite some time, depending on what you set, if you're doing a quick wash or if you're doing a heavy soil, then it just sits here and agitates as if, these were tumbling on themselves. They essentially are tumbling on themselves. They're just being forced from a top load perspective. So that's how this machine works. That's what the deep water wash looks like. And like I said, it might stop and add a little bit more water, but this is pretty typical here. So that's going to be it on the wash cycle. We'll come back as it drains and moves over to the rinse cycle. All right, actually I had to step away for a minute. We've already moved out of the wash cycle. I missed the draining, but it's filling back up with water now. It's going to fill all the way up again, and it's going to use fresh water now, agitate for a bit, and then it'll drain out. I'll catch the drain this time and the final spin. But you can see it's got those clothes thrown all around the outside. Looks like I did a pretty good job of extracting the soapy water out. Those aren't, those are pretty light there. So it'll resaturate them there with the fresh water for the rinse cycle, and then we'll be on to the final spin cycle. All right, and we got that drain running now. It's working nice and fast. And so next step from here is the final spin. And it's gonna take a minute to kind of self-balance before it kicks up to that high speed. And these do spin really fast. So I will come back as soon as it's done draining and at top speed. I try to keep these videos as short as possible while giving as much information as I can. So I'm gonna allow it, like I said, just let it skip through and balance out and get up to full speed. All right, this is actually the second round. This can go up to 3 times, essentially extracting that water, and it will know that it's extracted enough water once it hits a certain RPM level. And the lighter those clothes get, the faster it goes. That's kind of how that works. We should be at just about top speed here. Go ahead and show you. Spinning super fast. Nice heavy towel load. Once again, bypass the lock switch temporarily. All I have to do is remove it, and then this will close down like normal and lock for you at home. But as you can see, spins super fast, nice and quiet, and a smooth operation. So I will go ahead and let this finish up, and we will show off the dryer next. All right, now we have the Kenmore electric dryer. Rocking and rolling here on that set, the load of laundry we had in there. So we're all cleaned out here. This is the king size capacity. Cleaned out, move over here. This one I believe is also king size capacity. So whatever you can fit in here, no problem drying in here. There again, I still don't recommend overloading them. You get the most longevity out of 3/4 loads. Anyhow, we've got this set to time dry on high heat. You do have a wrinkle guard option. And what this does is when you switch that on, over here, you're gonna get it's between 60 and 90 minutes, where every 10 minutes it's gonna cycle on for a couple minutes and then cycle off. What it does is it gives you more time to come back and fold that load up before the wrinkles set in. So they call it wrinkle guard. That's how it works. And you also have a signal, so the buzzer on here, you can make it super loud, softer, or just turn it off. This is great if you have kids sleeping during the day or pets or anything like that. And then your push to start button, auto sensing up here. So with just a regular load of laundry, you could set it up here to more dry if you didn't want to be exposed to that much heat, somewhere in the middle. But I always kind of just do everything on full blast. same kind of thing. It senses how much heat to use, so I don't think this even makes any difference when you're over here on automatic. This is more for your time dry. That's pretty much how that works. So then I'm going to show you on the inside that we are heating like we're supposed to. So 75 degrees on top of the dryer, and it's 72 degrees on the concrete floor. So let's go ahead and open this up. Right inside the heating element tube here, got plenty of heat coming out of that tube, and that in turn is going to heat the inside of your dryer up anywhere from about 95 up to 195. Just depends on how long the load's been going, what you have that heat setting at, how hot the clothes are, all that kind of factors in. But it is doing great. So I'll go ahead and get these listed up for sale. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. Hopefully now you got a little more information on what you're potentially buying and maybe how to work a washer and dryer of this caliper here. There's so many different little features and options, and I decided to start kind of showing off how all that stuff works, just to give everybody a little bit better idea of what they're looking to purchase. So thanks, you guys have a great day.